I look like a gardener to you? I am a better, I am not a gardener. Hedging is for gardens. How does your garden grow?
With plus money.
With plus money. Hedging is for gardens.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It's Wednesday, the 8th of October. You're with Steve Wyss and Nigel Seeley. And I would love to say that we have got an incredible slate on the card today, but I would probably be lying, Nigel, wouldn't I?
Probably. You will be lying. I looked at the roster today, and I had to double check that was on it, because usually these graveyard shifts I give to Simon Holden, and I couldn't believe that I've rotated myself on to come on this show when the headline event is the African World Cup qualifiers, a little bit of Gibraltarian football when they're minus 250. And I couldn't believe that I made a schoolboy error and put myself onto this show where I'm finding it impossible to find a win in the Premier League. So what chance have I got today? Anyway, hopefully this show today, I'm hoping that all our loyal subscribers and the people in the group here will give me the winners rather than me finding the winners. But it's dull, isn't it? Not much happening.
No, it's been, like I say, it's the sort of day where we're in this international soccer window. And I hate this one. I mean, the one in September, I always quite like it. It comes off a hectic period. But I'm ready for league action to continue. It's deeply frustrating, Nigel. World Cup qualifying to start tomorrow. Today, we do have the Gibraltar friendly against New Caledonia. I
didn't even know there was a country called New Caledonia until you messaged me this morning with a rota.
And
where is it?
It's in the Pacific.
In the Pacific.
Okay. We'll come to that game soon. We've got World Cup.
Where specifically in the Pacific is it?
East of Australia.
Okay.
That's a good answer, isn't it? But yeah, we that's a big threat. I mean, New Caledonia are 2 matches away. Right, no joke, of qualifying for the World Cup 2026. So they deserve some sort of maybe respect. There's World Cup qualifying African games going on today. Put your best bets in chat if you're betting in Africa. We've got World Cup winners' futures to discuss. England-Wales tomorrow in a friendly. I'm going to pick your brains about that, Nigel, because I know you are such a huge follower of the English national team. It'd be foolish not to get your opinions. But welcome in. So everyone, Villa Fan 20, Mike as well, Rick Haley, Barak, Duncan. Barak's getting involved in the under-20s tournament. I think there's a World Cup. Is it the under-20s World Cup coming up soon? But I'm sure people will be betting in. Let's have a look. Matt Locke. This is the time to talk about next James Bond odds.
Well, I know the favourite is Jude Law, and I'm a bit disappointed the second favourite is Simon Holden. So, I'm the third favourite.
It's been ages since. The last Bond film was ages ago.
He died, didn't he? Didn't he die in the last? How are they going to get him back? I don't know. Is it like a scene from Dallas? Does he come out of the shower and it's all a dream that James Bond died? I mean,
Bond Jr.
To be fair, I could be a revitalised after 10 years of dying Bond. That's probably why I've been betting the market, because I look like someone who's been dead for 10 years and come back. That could be the reason why I've been bet. But yeah, very nice, man. Matt's the most sarcastic person we have on this show, and I like Matt. He comes up with some very good comments and very funny talking. So yes, the name's Seeley, Nigel Seeley.
Maserati Fox, this is what we want. He's looking at Chelsea women to score 2 goals and both teams to score minus 115. Real Madrid women as well, and a combo for plus 238. People are getting creative on a day like today, Nigel. Tristan Wiggle.
This is brilliant.
Dan Robert messaged me today and said, Tristan, you hit a 67-1 parlay yesterday. That you suggested it in the comments on the show yesterday.
Tristan, send your CV in to nigelseeley@gmail.com and we'll see what we can do.
Steady bets. He's gone on the overs in the Oman game. Should be a banger. Actually look to see who they play. But look, we are in the international window, so we're starting to get people asking who's going to win the World Cup, Nigel. And the draw is actually in December. The final qualification places won't be decided until March, but we'll know most of it by then. And we're in a situation where Spain are the favourites to win the World Cup 2026, held over in America next year, of course. England are the second favourites, along with France at plus 650. And then you've got to go down to Brazil, who not a lot of people fancy them to win this World Cup. They're plus 700, though, and Argentina plus 900. So we're in a position now would you start betting on futures for World Cups now, Nigel, or do you prefer to wait simply closer to the time? Is there any big prices to get involved in now, do you think?
Well, I think there's always a team that attracts the public imagination. Going back through history, there's been the likes of Colombia have been very big prices who come into World Cups in short prices. We've had teams that in recent years that have come into World Cups at low prices, but I remember the Belgian team as well. They went into a World Cup and got bet into single figure prices. They were number one in the FIFA World Rankings, but the World Cup is usually dominated by the best teams in the world, isn't it? The Germany, the France, Brazil. They're the team. Italy, even though they're 30-1, they're the teams that win the World Cup. The other sides, it's very rare that you get someone coming out. You might get a semi-finalist, you might get a quarter-finalist. It's very rare they go on to win it. You've got to go back in a long, long time. I probably think the last time a team like that was when France won the World Cup in their host country. So really, it's dominated by the best teams. The problem is with World Cup years as well is that the seasons, the players play such a lot of football over a period of time that there is always some key injuries to key players at the end of a season. So, if you want to bet France now and Mbappe got injured, you're on a bad bet. If you want to bet England and Harry Kane is ruled out for the World Cup, a lot of people say it's a positive, but I still think it's a massive negative. That would be a problem for you. And Spain, to me, look like the complete squad that they're not really reliant on one particular player. I mean, Argentina have obviously adapted a little bit, and with Messi not being, at the top of his game now, and he's not the player he was in the last World Cup or the World Cup before. So I think you look at teams that have just got loads of players and more of a team and players that you think to yourself, if there's not one key man or two key men, if they lost it, and I can understand why Spain are the team that the betting public want to be with. I mean, they were the takeout team for me in the last Euros. They've been exceptional in recent years. Their midfield, the World Cups are won by your midfield players. And you've got a goal scorer puts the ball in the back of the net, but your midfield creativity is where you win the World Cup. And I think the difference between the Spanish midfield compared to English midfield, who are the second favourites, is worlds apart. And you've got to remember, Rodri, the Ballon d'Or winner, hasn't even kicked the ball yet this season. So if he comes back for the World Cup, he's going to be completely fresh. I mean, probably half the season, probably come back. He's at the turn of the new year. You've got Rodri, you've got Pedri, you've got Gavi, you've got Marino, you've got Zubimendi, who's been sensational for Arsenal this season. And, you talk about the squad players, you've got Olmo, Ruiz, Garcia, Lopez. I mean, these are world-class players who could walk into any international team in that list. So I think they're the worthy favourites. England are a false price, absolute false price. They're always a false price. The pressure on England to win it is immense. They don't play with the same freedom in a tournament that they do when they're in qualification. They're flat track bullies. The English national side, they'll be sensational in qualification and not concede a goal and just win 3-4 and 5-0. But when they get to the main level, then they're exhausted. And I don't know what it is. There's a mentality in the Premier League being different to Spanish leagues or La Liga or Bundesliga, but I think our league is so much more competitive. You can see from big players who've come into the Premier League, like Florian Wirtz, saying how physical it is, how tough it is for him. This is a £100 million player who's going to come in and be sensational. It hasn't worked out. It's a very, very tough league. It takes it out of you. And I think the success of the English teams in Europe is the detriment to the English national side. So at this moment in time, I can't see past Spain, really, their squad in depth. And there is teams. I mean, Norway is going to be a very popular team. The players they've got, but you very rarely get these sort of public bet teams that go on to win the World Cup. They'll get to quarterfinals, they get to semi-finals, but realistically, the World Cup's going to be won by one of those big nations.
Yeah, I mean, Norway now into 50-1. I gave them out on Betting Weekly Live. A couple of months ago at 60-60s. They've shortened in. Colombia, I've been on them for a long time now. I think another team, someone mentioned it in the comments, I think it was Barak. I think Ecuador They've got a very, very good defensive unit.
Do you honestly think they'll win a World Cup, though, Steve? I mean, they could be great bets to make quarterfinals, great bets to win their group. But honestly, to go on a win a World Cup,
they don't necessarily have to win the World Cup for me. If you bet on them, you can, and they get, say the quarterfinals, your book can start to look a bit greener. Nigel.
When you say greener books and all that kind of stuff, when you bet a team at 100 to 1 or 66 to 1 in the quarterfinals, they're 33 to 1 or 25 to 1. You only really make green books when you get favourites not eliminated. So if my background is tennis betting. So if I bet 100 to 1 shot to win a major, and Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner in it, and then the semi-finals, they're still 50 to 1. Or you need the favourites to go out. You're not going to get a World Cup here where you're going to lose Spain, France, England. I mean, I think you're better off to bet those sides in individual matches, or bet them to win their group, or bet them to. I just don't believe that a World Cup will. We can throw all these names up that players and teams at 150 to 1 that will start 50 to 1 and 33 to 1, but you're not going to make money, serious money, by trading unless you lose a favourite. And we've got, I just can't see the gap. I think the gap between the top sides when it comes to the business end in World Cup competitions is they know what to do, and other teams, I'm including England in that. Other teams like England or other nations like England just don't know. We got to the final of the European Championships. I mean, we stunk the place out for the whole group stage. We got to the final, worst team ever to get to the final, and we found our level and got beat. And our route was amazing. England had an incredible route to the World Cup semi-finals over in Russia. And 1-0 up after 5 minutes at home against Italy. The best teams know what to do, and I just think that we'll bet 100 to 1 shot. They might start 33 to 1, but it'll be a gallant loser.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I do agree with you. I can't actually see beyond Spain. I think Spain are just so clear in a way the best team in international soccer right now.
Yeah.
Even compared to France, I think they're a lot better. So, I think that plus 400, I think they could even kick off the tournament shorter than that.
The big problem with the Spanish national team in recent years was that they was slightly worried. I was always slightly worried about their goalkeeper, but now David Raya is arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Would you say?
The
best defense in front of it. I mean, so the only thing and the other thing about Spain for years and years, they haven't had a striker, but they've won everything without a striker. So I also, if they lost one key player or two key players, there's a player that comes into that squad who's good enough to replace them. France, you could say that for. If England lost say England lost Declan Rice, or England lost Harry Kane or Jude Bellingham, the player coming in wouldn't be of the caliber of those players. And I think the French national side and the Spanish national side, the Brazilians are unknown. The Argentinians we do know about. Obviously, they're the World Cup champions, but I think it's very hard to defend it. But I just think I believe that the Spain will get shorter.
I think they will.
I think they get shorter.
Where are you? I mean, we talked about England there, plus 650, joint second favourites. Where are you on Thomas Tuchel for England manager? Because one of the reasons he's been brought in is he's supposedly one of the best one-game managers in the world. Like, if England reached the semi-final or a final of the World Cup, he could adjust his tactics and game plan to get England over the line. Where are you on Thomas Tuchel right now?
Well, unfortunately, to win a World Cup, we've got to win 7 matches. So, I'd like to bring him in for the final and get someone to be a little bit more entertaining into the final for that. I mean, I think he was the best out there at a particular time. There wasn't really many people who threw their hat into the ring. He was he's a Champions League winner. He's done exceptionally well across Europe. He's the best man, in my opinion, at that moment in time. What he's done is he seems to have no fear of dropping players who are in current form, or he has no fear of making tough decisions. And I think that's what you're going to do. And sometimes, if you look at teams that have won World Cups, they're not necessarily they're not the best individuals, they're the best team. And he's sort of moulding a team for England. And you look at them and think, well, Jack Grealish is not in the team, Phil Foden's not in the squad. But these are players that, aren't recognisable to most people in England, not alone in Europe, unfashionable kind of players. And that's a good thing. I like that. I like the fact that people don't come in with a bit of swagger, and they play players in the right position rather than players playing out of position. When we had that glory years, when we had David Beckham, Paul Scholes, all those kind of players, and Steven Gerrard, for 25 caps under Steven Gerrard, Steven played on the left-hand side. Paul Scholes played on the right-hand side. They played David Beckham. He had to make tough decisions. Those players should have gone with one, built the team around one, and dropped the others. This guy's not going to do that. He's got no fear for making tough decisions. He's gone through some stick already in terms of some of his performance, especially against the Ivories close. But you can only judge him by qualification. And England have won every single game. I don't think they've conceded a goal. Been not very pleasant to watch. But you look at teams that win World Cups. I know the World Cup final last year was crazy, and people remember that. But teams who win the World Cups aren't the most entertaining to watch. I think England are a long, long way away from winning a World Cup at this particular moment. But I wouldn't bet them at 650. But to me, they're probably fifth favourites, maybe. But the problem is that every time we come to a major championship, they're spent. The players are done.
G. Davis says Portugal will go deep. Talking punting, it's in the chats. Me and Simon actually discussed it the last time we were on the show. He stopped betting on Belgium now, as Simon Holden.
He's a big Portugal man. He likes Portugal quite a lot. Simon, he goes to sports, but they're on the other side. I mean, you're relying on a 40-year-old man, Ronaldo.
Well, it's difficult.
If they drop Ronaldo, I went to the Qatar World Cup. And I watched the game where they played. I can't remember. I can't remember. They played. Someone will tell me in the chat, but they played and they won 6-0. I think it was.
Ramos got the hat trick, didn't he?
Yeah, and they dropped Ronaldo, and it was the best performance of the tournament. But you got Fernandes in there. They're all petulant. I just worry about, if he doesn't play Ronaldo. I mean, it's a problem. The best thing for them to do really would be to build without Ronaldo, but Ronaldo believes he's bigger than that.
He's a god over there, isn't he?
Yeah. And if it backfired, it would be a disaster.
Yeah. David says, "How's the weather in Rotterdam, Nigel? You've not been over there.
He's joking.
Your Dutch
He's
city,
joking. I don't know. I haven't been. No, I'm never going back. I'm never going back to Rotterdam. To be fair, I don't know what the weather's like. I can imagine it being grey. Oh yeah, I'm looking at the weather forecast. Grey, cloudy, 17 degrees. Fear of wet showers. That's pretty much sums up
the city, right?
Something to see.
Man City Canuck says, "Good day, folks. LAFC versus Toronto. Toronto FC has played in 8 straight draws.
Wow,
very unusual, isn't it? That
what price is that with Bet Rivers?
Yeah,
have they moved that into consideration?
Yeah, that's a crazy run. Just some notable winners yesterday and losers from the sportsbook. $285,000 bet on the Mariners -1 run line against the Tigers. That was a winner. $150,000 on the Blue Jays money line at +145 against the Yankees. That was a loser. 100,000 on the Mariners -1 as well. So that Mariners result wasn't very good for the Bet Rivers Sportsbook. The biggest soccer bet was less than $5,000 on a team called Solder America against Cerro Porteño. I'm not actually sure even where that's from. I think it's possibly somewhere in South America. And then the second biggest bet was on the Ukraine under-20 against Spain under-20. That just shows you how much scraping the card yesterday was, really, across the board. But anyway, several live streams today. You can watch the African World Cup qualifying matches on Bet Rivers on the app or on the website. You can watch Grenada versus British Virgin Islands, an international friendly as well, alongside the World Darts Grand Prix, which we're going to talk about later. Now,
I'm sorry. I'm just fascinated by this stat there. I mean, we didn't look at the MLS really. To be fair, I thought there might be on interest rate. Probably we should have actually highlighted that because there's obviously a lot of Americans involved in the chat here. But this Toronto thing is quite incredible. 8 consecutive matches drawing, and 6 of the 8 have been 1-1. And obviously 7 of the 8 have been under 2.5 goals, and the only draw was Chicago. Last time out, 2-2. I mean, that's quite amazing. And Bet Rivers haven't really, though they haven't changed it at all. But look at Toronto this season. This season they played 32 matches this season and drawn 14 of them.
That's a high number.
Yeah, they've only won 5. I mean, that's incredible. So the draw throughout the season will be trading around about +120. I think if you work out the average, 14 into 32, 16 would be even money. 14 would probably be about +120. So about 45% probability. Bet Rivers aren't worried about the draw here. They're going plus 335. I suppose it's the end of the season. Playoffs.
You've got nothing to play for.
They got
Looking
nothing
at
to
the
play
table,
for.
but
Yeah,
they're not losing matches, are they? So they're not.
But
they're
Los
not
Angeles
mailing it in.
have Los Angeles got anything to play for? I don't think they've got.
Yeah, I mean they're fourth in the table, and they could finish. They could win the Western Conference. So I mean they wouldn't. LA are the clear favourites up. Yeah, minus 200 territory, aren't they? But that draw stat is mental. That would kind of put me off. I must.
But it's like seeing a roulette table going black 8 times. Your first reaction is we got a bet red. That's the way the public perception is. So you're looking at the draw and thinking, no, it won't be another draw, and then another draw comes. But yeah, I would. Do you know what? If you're looking at the draw going, it's a draw. They've drawn the last 8 matches plus 335 draws a little bit of value. Taking the fact that they've drawn 6 of those 8 1-1, then I'd go for the bigger price 1-1 bit of pizza money on that. Have a little bit of interest. But anyway, there's much bigger things to deal with today. We haven't got the Gibraltar match yet.
Well, we'll do Gibraltar in a minute. But whilst we're on the subject of England, there's a big friendly tomorrow. England against Wales. Are you going to be at Wembley tomorrow? No,
I will be at Wembley tomorrow. I'll be at Wembley tomorrow, and then on Monday I'm flying out to Latvia for the World Cup qualifier. I haven't been very well, as you know, but I've suddenly felt a little bit better because I've got a free bar tomorrow at the Wembley game. Suddenly I've got a bit more about me. But no, yes, I'll be at England tomorrow. I'm going with my son, so we're there tomorrow watching, and then we're flying to Latvia on Monday. Listen, the news coming out today is that Harry Kane probably will miss this match for England, which again, I think a lot of people will be quite pleased by that because Harry Kane seems to slow the way that English tempo up, but his record this season is phenomenal. His record for England is phenomenal. I'd rather Harry Kane be in my side than not in my team. But what I would like to do is I'd like to change a tactic if England aren't playing well, especially in a major tournament, the semi-final, quarter-final, that we can take Harry Kane off and then adapt us, put 2 up front, inject a little bit more pace if the system isn't working. And that is where England managers over the last few or 4, since Harry Kane has been England's main man, haven't been able to. If Harry Kane's not working, we don't know what to do. The other thing with Harry Kane, I don't think when Harry Kane plays, we get the best out of Jude Bellingham. But unfortunately for England, or unfortunately for Jude Bellingham is out tomorrow as well. So England go into this match without Harry Kane, possibly, without Jude Bellingham, without Cole Palmer, without Alexander-Arnold. It's very much a weak-looking England team. But that's what you want in friendlies. You want these friendlies to be able to play players that are used to the international stage. What you don't want is going to an international tournament like a World Cup or a European Championship and have someone on your bench full of people who've never played international football or played 5 games cumulatively between the 2 of them. So that's what international football should be there about. Pickford, what's the point of playing him in goal? Put Trafford in, give him a chance. Get young kids in it, give them an opportunity. But I do think whatever team England put out, I mean, they should be very, very well accomplished to be able to beat this Wales side. I mean, the manager Craig Bellamy said today, if it was a boxing match, it'd be stopped before it even started. I mean, he's playing mind games, but when you actually look at their squad, it's a squad made up of a lot of championship players. It's a lot of squad out. There's no stars. I mean, the biggest star they have is Aaron Ramsey, who's playing over in the Liga MX now. He's not playing. Brennan Johnson is a threat on pace from Tottenham. Kiefer Moore, obviously, from Wrexham, he's their main striker. England should be able to cover this quite easy. And I think all England internationals at Wembley are pretty dull affairs. The crowd is made up from a majority of guys with their young kids. It's not the best of spectacles whenever England turn up. And the bet you always have when England plays England to win to 0. I mean, that's pretty much a tried and tested bet, especially in European qualifications. That's how it's worked. And tomorrow, 2-0, 3-0 England win to 0 would be. I just can't see this Wales side causing them any problems whatsoever, really. And it'll be dull. It'll be boring. It'll be a 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 England win. It might take a bit of time to score, but when they score, usually from a penalty, they get loads of penalties at home. England will probably nick this 2-0 and just move on to Latvia at the weekend. And probably the same bet will be a copy and paste job again, England to win to 0.
Yeah, we'll be discussing that game in more detail tomorrow. Lewis Jones is going to be joining me on Betting Weekly Live, so along with all the World Cup qualifying Europe games too. On the subject of World Cup qualifying, and me and Nigel are not going to give any bets out for these. But there is an African slate today. There's matches in play now. You can bet right now live on the BetRivers website or app. There's matches in play. But later on, several fixtures across the board. Egypt is favoured by -4 goals. They're not even offering odds on the money line for Egypt against Djibouti there. The match is actually being played in Morocco, of all places. I mean, I think this can be one of the most difficult parts of worldwide soccer, to be honest. So if anyone does have an angle, do put it in the chat. We know there's some very people out there who have special interests in these types of matches. But it's getting to the nitty-gritty now, Nigel. That's the crux of it in all aspects of World Cup qualifying. Big times for these nations. So, you get once every 4 years you have a chance of qualifying for the World Cup. Although they are going to expand the teams.
I've been involved in. I spoke to Neil Channing yesterday on the Betting Weekly Dojo. If you haven't watched it, it's quite a good episode. We talk about betting on various different sports, and should you concentrate on one sport, should you concentrate on another sport, and multitude of different sports. Or in soccer betting, there's so many leagues and international leagues, and my argument is probably a little bit to do with laziness from me over the years. That I've just think to myself, I'm just going to. I know a little bit about the Premier League, not great, but I know a bit about England international football. I've got a decent knowledge on tennis, and I've never really bothered. I've never had a bet on an African World Cup qualifier in my life. If someone puts in the bet and says to me, "This is a bet tonight," and these guys know more about me, I would follow them in rather than following me in, because what do I know about? I absolutely know nothing.
Marley Corners handicap for a sprinkle.
I tell you what, if I bet Marley Corners handicap. Honestly, and I lost, I would never be able to walk out the house. How can
They're against Chad. They're against Chad. They're a -375 favourite. The corners line, the corners handicap for Marley. I'm just looking at it now.
Steve, I don't bet with any sportsbook in the UK. I have to get through a guy who puts the bets on me. If I sent him a message and said, "Can you get me on Marley's corner handicap against Chad?" he would think I've been on the same old wacky backy that Bob Marley's been on. I can't be sending that to my pal. No way. Absolutely no way. I appreciate that, steady bets. But if I said my mate, "Can you get me 200 quid on Marley Corners handicap against Chad?" he would think that my phone had been confiscated and I've been held hostage.
Steady bet says, "Do it, Nigel. You'll keep your accounts open forever." The handicap, for those who are interested, it is -3.5 on the corners handicap for Marley. That's African World Cup qualifying. There is a couple of international friendlies today. Like I said, one of them you can watch live on the BetRivers app: Grenada versus British Virgin Islands. Another one.
I'll be watching that one. I'll be watching.
And the other one, the other high-profile game.
Oh, look at
this.
This is what this is.
And by the way, these graphics are wrong now because Gibraltar have been backed. There's money for Gibraltar. Gibraltar are -278 now to beat New Caledonia, who have drifted to 6-1. The tie is at +335 now. So New Caledonia, a big negative. Now, the reason that this caught my eyes because New Caledonia are in the World Cup qualifying playoff section, confirmed. They are 2 matches away from qualifying for the World Cup 2026.
But don't they have to play like Australia or something like that? And they'll be like 7-goal underdogs, and they're not going to be in the World Cup, are they?
Well, no, they're not, because they're going to have to play Bolivia in that section. One of the best African teams will be in it. 2 from CONCACAF and 1 or 2 from Asia. So they're a huge underdog, and they decided to warm up for these. These matches are going to be played in March by a trip to Gibraltar, 17,500 kilometre trip across 9 time zones to face this Gibraltar side.
How many planes must they? They must go from New Caledonia to Sydney, Sydney to London, and then London to Gibraltar. It must be like a whole day travel. Yeah. It must be a day and a half travelling.
I don't really see the point in them doing it. But, I mean, for Gibraltar to be -278 at home, I mean, someone said in the chat here, Barak, how trash are New Caledonia if Gibraltar are that price? I think that just shows it. Now, from a betting angle, though, Nigel, I'll tell you what, and I don't like it as much now because it was at +120, but over 2.5 goals at -117. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Gibraltar rarely win games.
Well, the first thing you've got to say, right, is Gibraltar usually play their home games in Portugal. So is this in Gibraltar Stadium or is this in because the Gibraltar Stadium?
It's in Gibraltar.
So their stadium is like it's where a club called Lincoln play. It's right by the airport. It's like and I played on the pitch. I lived in Gibraltar when I was 23, 24, and I've said it before. I wasn't a bad little football player then, and I thought I could get into. I thought I was good enough to get in the Gibraltarian team. They're obviously a lot better than me, but Gibraltar will win this match. There's no doubt about it. But the stadium is literally on the aeroplane, and by the airport. So I'm going to look at how many flights. When it take off, it will be taking off, and the jet planes will be going over the stadium. It's like literally 100 yards away from the stadium. So New Caledonia might have a bit of a shot with these aeroplanes keep going. If have a look at the flight departures from Gibraltar tonight, and if there's a lot of them that'll interfere with it, because they'll be going over their heads. It's so low. It's like crazy. You know that airport where you go into, is it Saint Martin when you go into off the beach? I think
on the beach. Yeah. I've seen some
well, the Gibraltar airport is not far like that, and they go over the football pitch. So New Caledonia will have a bit of a shot when the planes are going over them. But I mean, again, I might have a double. Gibraltar, New Caledonia, over 2.5 goals in the corner spread in the Marley, and hopefully that keeps my accounts going. And anyone and my friend thinks I haven't been kidnapped. But anyway, I mean, there's so much football out there, and obviously people have their own opinions and stuff. And finding a good bet, it doesn't matter what you bet on. It doesn't matter if it's this match or it doesn't matter if it's the Premier League at the weekend. It doesn't matter. Good football is good football, but obviously a good bet's a good bet. But these guys in the chat know a lot more than what I would do on this. And if I'd done the research, I'd pretend to know something about it in the last 20 minutes, and I'll be found out very quickly. So I'm much more interested to see what the chat has to say about it rather than me.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually watched quite a bit of Gibraltar in the last year or two. That sounds a bit sad, doesn't it? But I do tend to watch them quite a bit. And
have you watched New Caledonia, though?
No, I can't say I have seen any of New Caledonia. And producer Troy's right. They beat Tahiti 3-0, and they lost to New Zealand in March. New Zealand was something like -5 handicap that day, by the way, so they did cover the cap. And that result qualified New Zealand for the World Cup. And New Caledonia are now in the playoff section. They are bad. They are a very bad team. And I would expect Gibraltar. I mean, Gibraltar haven't won a game for quite some time. They beat San Marino, actually, 2024. They beat Andorra as well in 2024. That's not bad, actually.
They've improved. Gibraltar have
improved. Yeah, they have. And they have been more attack-minded, which is what led me in the direction of the over goals, really. It's a sort of game. Surely both will want to try and get a bit of have a go at each other. Feel like they can win the fixture. But so yeah, that was the only little angle I was having goings there. We're not going to have any Women's Champions League previews today. If you've got any bets for that competition, then do put it in chat. But we will finish with a different sport entirely, Nigel, and that is darts, because the World Grand Prix is on. I saw you put some bets up in chat the other day on the live show. And this is an interesting tournament. You have to double in, basically, and double out, don't you, of the leg? Yeah. And we've got 4 matches today across the board. Where shall we start?
First, I think we have to start from last night. I mean, it amazes me now the interesting darts across the America. We did a feature on Luke Littler on the Betting Weekly Insider because our boss Terry told us that the people are interested in dart because of Luke Littler, and what Luke Littler did last night was pretty short of sensational. This is a tournament where you have to start with a double. So you start with a double, the smallest section of the board. You start with a double, and then once you're in, you're away. And his opponent, Jan van Veen, the Dutch guy, is a very, very talented player, averaged 106.47, which was the highest average in the tournament's history. And the tournament's been going on for 20 odd years, and Luke Littler still managed to beat him 2-0. Now you imagine that 106.47 with a double start, and you still do not win a set. That is mind blowing. When we talk about things in sport, that is incredible that someone can average 106.47 and not win a set. That shows you how good Luke Littler is. His finishing was sensational. It was absolutely incredible. So you set the bar there. and the bar's only going to come down with these matches for tomorrow. So let's have a look at some of the matches we've got. The first match is I've got here is the match between Rob Cross and Cam Menzies. Rob Cross only averaged 81.7 in his first round match. So he averaged almost 25 points per throw lower than the guy who got beat yesterday, to put that into perspective. So if they went to the board 9 times, he was 100, 3 times, he's 100 lower. It's 75 lower. It's incredible. Cameron Menzies had a really, really poor year, but had a good win last time out. Cross should win this match, but at the prices, it's a short price. Cameron Menzies had problems with his game. He suffers big nerves on the big stage. So Rob Cross should win that, but at -205, no value whatsoever. Luke Humphries takes on Krzysztof Ratajski. Ratajski, the Polish Eagle, is somebody who never really gets many 180s. Luke Humphries is someone who's quite prolific on the 180s over the years, and he started to hit some 180s in this tournament. I like him to get a few 180s this match. Small lean on over 2.5 Luke Humphries 180s, which is around about -125. Stephen Bunting will play Danny Noppert. Stephen Bunting is a player that is up to, I think he's number 4 in the world now, a -250, but I believe that he will beat Danny Noppert fairly comfortably. He comes through a tough test in his last round, beating Springer, who won one of the tournaments in Europe just before last week or the week before, and he's in form. Bunting looked good in that match. I think he might cover the spread, so I quite like him -1.5. I think Danny Noppert is a player that is in and around the top 20, but he hasn't got the top level against the best players. And I think Gary Anderson will beat Joe Cullen quite comfortably as well. Joe Cullen beat James Wade in the last round, but he didn't hit a 180 in that match. James Wade hit 3 180s. Gary Anderson has seen it, done it, won everything. Had a very, very feisty match against Raymond van Barneveld in the last round, but beats him. And Gary Anderson's got a favourable draw. I think he can go deep in this tournament. So I like Gary Anderson -1.5. I like Stephen Bunting -1.5. And I like Luke Humphries to get more than 2.5 180s. I would go over the 2.5. I would go over the line of the 180s in that match. But the problem is Ratajski doesn't get many 180s. So just going to go for Luke Humphries on his own. Small play on that. But my main play would be the double or the parlay. Bunting -1.5 and Gary Anderson -1.5.
I've actually been done in by Ratajski 180s before. He always switches to the 19s.
Yeah,
he's
he doesn't
a slow player, isn't he? He's a really slow player. He can put people off their game, actually. I once played in a pub team, darts, Nigel, years ago, and we used to have a tournament once a year like this. And I once lost a leg, and I didn't actually score a point.
Professional players to do that. I was if I started the league now, if I started a match now that we had to go double in and double out, we wouldn't be back by the time we had to get that flight Monday. We'd still be playing. So it would be pro players do that. I've seen pro players.
It can happen, can't it?
Yeah.
21 darts I had a double. I missed them all. I lost the leg. I always remember
That's because you had 21 doubles before you started playing. That's the problem.
There has been I got some data actually from producer Troy on these matches, and 83% of the money on Rob Cross. That surprised me after his performance the other night. Stephen Bunting, very, very popular, of course. 84% of the money on him. He's got a brilliant walk-on tune, hasn't he? I do love his walk-on tune. And then Gary Anderson's been well back, like you said there, 80% of the tickets on the Flying Scotsman, Gary Anderson, in that particular match. This is a fun tournament for those who've not watched it. You can watch this streamed live on the BetRivers app or betrivers.com. So
it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, when I first started working in the American sports betting market back about 9 years ago, you couldn't even get a bet on like English League One. Like seriously, like the people were saying to me, we can't get a bet of our books, and now we got BetRivers letting you live stream, double in, double out darts. You know, we Gibraltar against New Caledonia. You've got all those African leagues. It's just amazing how the world of sports betting has changed stateside. When literally 7 years ago, people would say to me, "Look, we cannot get a bet on the championship," and now BetRivers have hundreds and hundreds of markets on these matches. It's insane.
Thomas O'Hawada says Menzies is very unpredictable. Van City is going to put a bit of pizza money on the Central African Republic to beat Ghana at 10-1. He knows that Ghana often cock up in these sort of situations. I think if Ghana win, they're in the World Cup.
Well, that's the kind of information we want. We want people like that. telling us that's what we do. And I probably wouldn't bet him plus 10 at 10 to 1, but after hearing that, I might be adding that on the Asian handicap betting.
+2.
Yeah, +2. I think
Around
that might
that
go in.
mark.
And then, people will think I've really gone crazy when I'm getting that as well.
The newsletter, Nigel. Please do sign up for free. I'll put the link in chat now. We got the Insider going to come out on Friday, and some winners on Monday's newsletter on the tennis front to report, which is very good news. Yeah,
we had two winners. Myself and Tim Dennis had a couple of winners today on the tennis. Tim Dennis on the tennis, and then you've got a bet on there, haven't you? You've got a bet this week.
I do have a bet on the in the Euro qualifying for Europe, the World Cup. Sorry, I've got a bet on there, and then on the Insider on Friday, we'll have more bets for the weekend, and it's totally free. So,
well, I think the thing is about the Insider is that people watch these shows and think, I can't be bothered to get round to it. But I mean, it is free. There's a lot of effort going into it. But myself and Steve, we've had a little bit of a cool conversation about revamping it, and some of the ideas that we've come up with are actually going to make it rather exciting for subscribers. So, in the next couple of weeks after the international break, you want to be involved in this, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to get involved. Lots of ideas that we have to make it much more fun, and there's a lot of hooks for you to be involved. So we've realised that it needs a little bit of revamping, and it will be revamped. So make sure you subscribe to it, because I think you'll like what we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. And it's free, bettingweeklystudios.com.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Just one more comment before we go, which I wanted to mention earlier, because it's a comment from Twitch. We are streaming live to Twitch right now. Scarts for Real said, "Good morning, sirs. I hope you guys are well. Bet Rivers is one of the best networks out there. So thanks
very
for
much.
joining on Twitch. We're on Facebook as well. X, of course, multi-platform streaming here on the channel. And please do subscribe to the channel. If there's anyone watching right now who is
Steve, there's about 65% of these people. I see the data every day. It's about 65% of these people who do not hit the subscribe button.
Really?
No, there's a lot of people who do not hit the subscribe. They just know they're going to come on. But for us to keep continuing doing these shows, the powers that be at Bet Rivers look at our subscribers. And if you want these to continue watching these shows, you've got to hit that subscribe button, because we need more subscribers. So please do it.
Well, yeah. That's a very good point. Please do hit that subscribe button. If you've not already, hit the like button as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. But that will be it for Betting Weekly Live today. I've got Lewis Jones on the show with me tomorrow, and Nathan Joyce will be back on Friday as well for Betting Weekly Live as we get into some serious World Cup qualifying action. But Nigel, I would ask you for your best bet today. It's going to have to be in the darts, I suppose.
I'm going to have a parlay. Going to go for a parlay. Steve Bunting -1.5 sets, and I'm going to go for Gary Anderson -1.5 sets. It'll be a nice kind of price there. That'll be nice. And what I'm going to do straight off, I'm going to ladder the callers in the match between, what was it? Where are we going?
Marley, Steady Bets is in here. Marley corner handicap.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm going.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone who joined in live or on demand. On the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Remember, gamble responsibly. Definitely on a day like today, don't get too carried away unless you've got that little edge. So take care, everyone, and see you next time on Betting Weekly Live.